get in trying to insist that they're right. And I think it's only a matter of time before the world begins to wake up and come off the Kool-Aid and realize that we can't any longer indulge the fantasies of the left. They are bidding fair, and some of them deliberately bidding fair, to destroy the West in various ways.
Sure.
The climate part of that, the undermining of the economy.
They can't compete with free market prosperity. Lord Monkton, Lord Christopher Monkton is our guest. Amazing. His website is amazing as well. We're going to come back and ask him if the collapse is coming in the next 6 months, the next year. We can see a lot of signs of that. Then what comes out of it? How do we defeat the culture battle that they're planning to use the crisis to sell more socialism as the answer? How do we defeat that? Then we'll shift gears into what's happening with the climate, carbon taxes, record cold weather, and more. Scienceandpublicpolicy.org. We're see Lord Monkton never over-announced his case. He really just laid it all out, and he's been proven right. The UN responded 5 years ago when he helped get the secret documents of their real treaty to basically double third world taxes. They'd claimed it was a wealth transfer to the third world, the carbon tax, and Lord Monkton was able to get the secret treaty, and of course didn't get any credit for that. He was locked out of the one in Durban, South Africa 2 years ago, so he parachuted into that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And they have to keep these treaties secret, just like the Trans-Pacific partnerships and the other ones, because when we get them, it is pure global government totalitarian garbage that is being forced down our throats. We're going to be talking to him in a moment about what's coming next. We've seen record cold temperatures, snow in Hawaii, snow in Florida. And their answer is, oh, see, that's the climate change. No longer global warming. Well, of course, the climate's always changing. And they had a vote 5 years ago at the Copenhagen event, or 6 years ago now. They had a vote, and they voted and said the sun does not affect climate. Because they knew all these scientists were coming out saying it's the sun, not carbon dioxide that plants live off of. Before we go any further, it is almost sold out. We only printed 5,000 of them. It's $9.95. Shipping is included. It's the 2015 calendar that we just got in last week. And the reason it's selling out so quickly is obviously it's got a monthly promo code. We're talking, 1 month is 10% off store-wide. Another month is 15% off store-wide. Other areas, 15% off the purchase of InfoWars Seed Center has the promo code. 25% off any Made in America T-shirt at InfoWarsStore.com. 10% off your purchase or $75 off or greater, just period. Another month is 15% off all Made in America 1776 products. 10% off store-wide. This is on top of other specials. Free shipping. That's another. So it's a coupon book. And it's got Leanne McAdoo holding 250 caliber rifles, okay, while sports cars and American Eagles fly around in the background. Yes, it's supposed to be obnoxiously America. Great way to wake up friends and family. Give them a calendar. They hang it up. They'll look at 12 great images on there, patriotic and exciting images. Molon Labe. We've got Dianne Feinstein's head on Betty Page's body. I mean, we've got everything in here. It is family, though. I mean, a bathing suit's not a big deal. There's one pinup girl in here putting down the outgoing senator. So it's got me giving the first speech since the Alamo was destroyed, at the Alamo since the state opened it up to speeches when the ag commissioner had me down there to speak. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139, and they will sell out in the next day or two. It was just a test to see if folks like the calendar, and the answer is yes, folks love the calendar. But it's basically a real coupon book. I mean, you could save thousands of dollars with this if you took advantage of all the coupons that are in it. It's not a gimmick. These are real discounts. Finally, speaking of real discounts, we have the Oxy Power that flushes out the upper and lower intestine, the super male or super female vitality, your choice, and the methylcobalamin vitamin B12 that's more absorbable, truly organic, Secret 12. All three products, 48% off retail price at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com. 48% off. We've got some other specials as well on the Nascent Iodine X2 and more. All right, and again, it is your purchases that make the broadcast possible, so I want to thank you all for your ongoing support. We're not like NPR that gets $400 million of taxpayer money a year, MSNBC that gets billions in tax write-offs that they're specially given, or stimulus money. We're funded by you spreading the word, supporting the sponsors, and buying the products at InfoWarsLife.com. And a lot of times when guests like Lord Monkton or others aren't getting mainstream media coverage, I know this show has been critical in getting it out there, forcing it out there, thanks to you, our activist audience. So I salute all of you out there worldwide, not just here in the United States. Now, Lord Monkton, I'm going to try to give you the floor now to go over this. We'll be showing some of the headlines while you speak. But penguins for the first time taking cover in Antarctica. Ice sheets growing at record levels. Sea levels in many areas dropping. Some areas rising slightly. We know they go up and down. Just absolute evidence that the Earth has been slowing its heating and now is cooling due to the sun, as you and other scientists together laid it out. Doesn't matter. Multiple states are implementing carbon taxes by fiat. Obama's going forward with executive action to shut down more power plants. I mean, this is a plan to bankrupt us. England is a test example. What is happening in the fight right now on that front that you've been leading?
The first thing is that I've now had a paper published today in the Chinese Science Bulletin. Now, this is a big deal. It's one of the top 6 science journals in the world. It is the bulletin of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which is the largest academy of sciences in the world. And this paper explains what went wrong in the climate models to make everybody think that there might be a lot, rather than virtually no, global warming as a result of our adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. You see, here's a fact which bears repetition.
And you did this with a bunch of top scientists. I mean,
how much?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Also add who you co-authored it with.
That's right, yes. It's with Dr. Willie Soon of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, a solar physicist, with Professor David Leagate, he's a professor of geography at the University of Delaware, and also with Matt Briggs, who's known as the statistician to the stars in New York. So 3 very distinguished co-authors. I was the lead author. And what we did was to present a new, irreducibly simple climate model, which any student of physics can work on his pocket calculator if he wants. And it allows you to get more accurate forecasts of what's going to happen to global temperature as a result of our adding greenhouse gases to the atmosphere than the big climate models that have got it wrong time and time and time again. We've been able to go into the big models. We've found the mistakes they've made. We've exposed in this leading paper, in the first issue of this newly relaunched journal. It's now being launched onto the world stage. It's no longer just a Chinese journal. And this paper explains where they got it wrong, how they got it wrong, why they got it wrong, and what it means that they got it wrong. What it means is we're going to see not more than 1 Celsius degree of global warming this century, and it might be a lot less than that. And even if we were to burn off all the affordably recoverable fossil fuels in the world, global temperatures compared with now would rise by about 2.2 Celsius degrees, and that's about it. So there is no climate problem. There never was, and we have now proved it. And this paper is already spreading like wildfire among the institutions. We're now making arrangements, thanks to the Heartland Institute, for it to go open access, which is quite an expensive option. But that means that within the week, everyone, even if they don't subscribe to the Chinese Science Bulletin, will be able to get a copy of this paper from Springer.com, the publishers. And this paper is going to turn climate science on its head, because it shows that they've made some really elementary, really stupid errors, which led to the mistaken belief that adding a little CO2 to the atmosphere would make a huge difference. The fact is that to the nearest tenth of 1%, there isn't any CO2 in the atmosphere. That's how little of it there is. And yes, even that small amount can make some difference. But is it going to make enough of a difference to melt the ice sheets? No, as you've just mentioned, the ice sheets have in fact grown to record extents. Just 3 months ago, the ice sheets of the North and South poles added together were a greater extent than ever measured before in the satellite era. The only place you'll hear that information is on Infowars.com. You won't hear that in any mainstream news medium. They will not tell you this fact. They will not tell you that sea level basically isn't rising at all. It might rise, according to the world's greatest expert on the subject, by a matter of perhaps inches, maybe 2, maybe 4, maybe 6 inches over the whole of the 21st century. Is this a problem? No, it's not enough even to cover the spats on my highly polished shoes. The whole thing is nonsense. The deserts are shrinking as rainfall is greening areas that the nomads haven't been able to live in since living memory. Now they're moving back. 30,000 square kilometers of the Sahara has disappeared under vegetation. It's good news right across the globe. Hurricanes are down, floods, virtually no change. The area of the world under drought has declined over the last 30 years. None of these things is being mentioned in any mainstream news media.
Lord Monkton,
what we've done is to go right into the models, expose where they got it wrong, and now it's going to be very much harder for them from now on to pretend that they have to do anything at all about introducing world government in Paris in December this year, which is what they are still, unfortunately, planning to do.
and that was my next question. You read my mind. I wanted to get into what the Pope said and the rest of it, but just going back, you're being very gentlemanly and very kind. We have the emails. We have ClimateGate that you helped expose. We know that it's premeditated fraud to pass carbon taxes, because if you can tax carbon dioxide that humans exhale, as the New York Times said, a tax on breathing, you can micromanage and surveil every level of the economy, selectively shutting off whoever you want. Shut off UK, shut off US, shut off EU production. The bureaucrats then, their wives and husbands, literally own the factories and coal plants in China and India. And then they move there. I mean, this is paying to dismantle Europe, paying to dismantle the U.S., a premeditated, wicked plan. I mean, is there any doubt? Now, you certainly have those because of political pressure. I go to the movies now, and I went to 2 different theaters the last month, different chains. They had documentaries about islands in the Pacific that are going to be underwater now, which we all know is a fraud. And please, don't kill us with these natives begging. The propaganda push has been quadrupled from what I've seen. And then the Pope, and I'm not a Catholic basher. I believe you're a Catholic. My point is...
Let me talk about the Pope, because this is very interesting. He has begun to come out with some rather silly noises about climate change. He is, of course, on the far left himself, and he has an even more radical prefect of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, Monsignor Sanchez Sorondo. Now, I had lunch at the Pontifical Academy with Sanchez Sorondo under the beautiful painted ceiling. They live very well at the Vatican. And this was about 3 years ago. And he had on one side of him me, and on the other side of him Italy's most distinguished scientist, Professor Antonino Zichichi, who's the founder and still head at the age of 86 of the World Federation of Scientists. And both of us told Sanchez Sorondo that there is no basis for concern about our effect on the climate. It's minimal. And in those countries of the West where we have got the environment, we've cleaned up the act, we've cleaned up pollution, there's really no threat to wildlife or to us or to plants or to anything from the activities of man. In the poorer countries, there still is. In China, real pollution. They don't burn coal very cleanly, for instance. They could do, but they don't yet. And there you do get genuine pollution. But CO2 is not a pollutant. But the Pope is planning to issue in March of this year, just a couple of months away, an encyclical letter. This is a letter to all 400,000 clergy and all the 1.2 billion Catholic faithful, saying to them that they must now put the climate before their religion, and they must start saying that unless the West is shut down, the world is doomed. Now, that's the line we are hearing from the Vatican at the moment. I am hoping that the more old-fashioned members of the Curia advising the Pope will say to him, look, mate, we've got this wrong before with Galileo, trying to get him to pretend that the Earth doesn't go around the sun. We were wrong on that. We are not infallible on matters of science, only on matters of faith or doctrine. Be very careful. And so if Pope Francis watches and listens to your program regularly, as I'm sure he does, then here's a warning to him.